Thanks for tuning in to this mini-musing I have here today. I've been a little bit slower on some of these podcasts as I recover from some sickness, which you can probably still hear in my voice. It's the unfortunate curse of immunosuppressants, but it doesn't mean that I don't have some fun ideas that I just want to talk about today. And it really comes down to just 3 small productivity tips that I have found to be really impactful as a product manager specifically, and how you can think about applying these to your own work and what you're trying to do. And also, again, specific sort of to product management. So the first one, I'm going to start with probably the most mundane area of productivity these days, since it's just everywhere, which is AI and how you can effectively use it. There's a lot of tools out there, a lot of solutions. Like a lot of them, and some of them I don't really care for too much. But the biggest one that I have found to be most impactful is the advanced voice mode for ChatGPT. And the way I use this mode is, I think it's best done in a way where, as a product manager, you a lot of times have an immense amount of thoughts and ideas and really just loose notes in your own mind about a specific topic. Maybe it's a feature, maybe it's a program, maybe it's a business case. But to really get started building that all together and creating that into a structure, it's kind of difficult, because where do you really start? You can maybe try to create a format, but that doesn't really best capture that intention. And what I find great about advanced voice mode is that you can really just sort of brain dump a lot of what it's in your mind, and from there ask questions and help structure that data into a format that you can actually build upon. And so if you want to talk in a way where you just say, hey, I've got a lot of thoughts around this specific feature, I'm just going to ramble about a ton of it, and then I want you to structure it in a way, and from there we'll ask questions about it. Advanced voice mode is phenomenal and really works as a partner, because you can very easily interrupt it, you can turn it around, and I really enjoy having used that. It's been very useful. So if you haven't used advanced voice mode, I would highly recommend you take a look at that. And again, that's in ChatGPT. I use 4.0. The new O1 and O1 previews are both great as well. They don't have advanced voice mode, but they're great for just more long form processing. But really, when you want to get to the space of great value out of AI, especially as a product manager, I found advanced voice mode to be a really fun one. The second tip I like to think about is, how can you start getting to meetings on time? As a PM, I'm constantly running from one meeting to the next, and I have to consistently tell people that, remind them of new features, do enablement, craft new ideas. And what that leads to is oftentimes going over. And when it comes to getting to meetings on time, I actually learned this tip from an executive who was always on time. And I remember asking him, because he was always there or just a little bit early. And I said, you're the only executive I've ever worked with, truly, who was always on time or early to a meeting. And we're talking C-suite. And I said, how do you do that? And he said he made this adjustment where he changed his calendar notifications to be 1 minute before the meeting starts. And in doing that, it ensured that he could just log right in, that there was no way he could forget that meeting was upcoming or get distracted again. And I took that approach as well, and I found it to be game-changing for ensuring that not only I end meetings on time, but that I start them on time as well, which is critical to, I think, keeping yourself out of the rut of hopping from one meeting to the next and always being late. And the real reason why 1 minute works so well is that it's just long enough for you to say, I've got to go, we'll connect on XYZ, and log off and start the next meeting. That's as long as you get. You don't have time to wrap up additional conversations or make final points. You simply don't. You have to log off. And it works as the meeting is starting now, but you still have 60 seconds. So you have that hair of breathing room. Versus if you have a 5-minute lead time, every time you're going to say, okay, I've got to hop in a few, but let me just real quick touch on these last points. And inevitably it allows the conversation to continue and you roll over. So if you want to get back to being on time, keeping your schedule aligned and not really, disrespecting other people's time as well, set your meeting reminders to 1 minute. It's a quick, fast tip. And the third one I found which is something I've done really my whole life. And people oftentimes look at this as being weird, but I find it to be a huge asset, is getting really good at talking to yourself, especially in an environment where you can really process information. What does that mean? I think some of the best thinking and approaching of ideas that I do happens when I'm usually on a walk or just pacing back and forth within my own room or my own house and talking to myself. And the reason why is if I'm trying to best understand a specific topic and some of the pitfalls or maybe the features or some of the areas I'm not thinking about, the best way to do that is to really challenge yourself and to have those sort of fights and confrontations internally, where you're in a very safe space where you can really formulate your own thoughts. You don't have to worry about having these conversations externally with others. But instead, you should know your feature the best. You should know your customers. You should have great product sense. And by leveraging that information, you can oftentimes be the best proponent and opponent of your own idea. And when you actually leverage that in terms of having these conversations with yourself, what you really get to is just a space where you can dive into the topics, dive really deep, and get really good at understanding where you oftentimes overlook certain things or where oftentimes you can, over-index on different items. Now, it's not perfect, of course, right? We all have pitfalls and, you can only see so much and you only have so much information. That's what you're limited by. But within that space, you can really do a full 360 review of your topic and ensure that you're not missing anything that perhaps you should along the way. And it also makes for just great understanding of how you want to position when you convey your topic to others, how you want to respond and prepare yourself for those responses. And a lot of times the areas where I've been least prepared are when I haven't taken that time to really dive deep, not just internally in the mind, but vocally by speaking it out, what my thoughts are on a specific topic or reviewing that topic. So those are 3 fast tips. Listen, some people might think talking to yourself is weird. That's fine. I find it to be extremely productive and helpful, and I find it to be very useful. And, if you're looking for getting to meetings on time, set those reminders to 1 minute. Don't do the 10 minutes that come standard. That's the worst I find. Don't do 5 minutes. Do 1 minute. That's enough for you to say goodbye and move along. And then, of course, again, when it comes to using AI, I think OpenAI's advanced voice mode is just transformational. And I hope you find as much use in using it as well. In that AI space as well, just another quick side approach. Highly recommend O1 on ChatGPT for doing more circumspect analysis. But if you want to do anything code, Anthropic's Claude 3.5 Sonnet is just mind-blowingly better. It can do so much so fast if you haven't tried it out. So, those are my fast tips. Hope this has been a helpful mini-musing. Appreciate you listening in through my sore throat, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in.